If you just joined us, this is the press. We are reaching you live from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we'll go straight to analyzing the stories that we read out to you. My guest on the show today is Stephen Adewale, who is a public affairs analyst. Great to have you on the show today, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, Annabel.
Good morning. All right, viewers, our phone lines are open. You can call in to make your contributions or ask your questions, but please leave your questions at just 1 minute to every caller, and try to turn down the volume of your TV set so we can hear each other. All right, quite a number of stories to analyze this morning, but let's start with the Okwama-Oklobia community clash that degenerated to killings, a lot of killings from both from army troops and then some other community members. Now, Vanguard newspaper says killings, troops comb Bayelsa, Delta Creeks for military leader. And if you check the riders, it says demolition of buildings in Okwama continues. Senate Joint Committee holds meetings with service chiefs. Killing of soldiers inhumane and devilish coming from some of their members. Delta Assembly condemns killings, calls for thorough investigation. And Niger Delta host communities condemn killing, once culprit brought to justice, and remind warring communities of OD sad experience. That was what I was actually looking for. Now, if you remember all that happened during the OD experience or the Zaki Biam experience, what are your thoughts? Let's get your reactions with all that has happened in the last few days with regards to this killings in Okwama, for both, whether it's military officials that are being killed or the community members that are being killed. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Thank you very much. I think what is happening now should serve as a wake-up call to our political leaders and the political leader, all the elected leaders, and even the military leaders as well. It's unfortunate what happened in Delta State, but as we all know, killings has become like an household name in Nigeria. Virtually every state, a series of killings take place every day. In Jos, in Kaduna, in Gobe. In fact, a lot of them are no longer making it to making it to the headline. So what happened in Delta is something that we should have. It's an avoidable disaster. It's something that should have been avoided if the government had done the right thing in the past. First, we need to look at our security architecture. What happened in Delta with the Nigeria armed military ought not to have happened, because the military officers, they were there to protect the integrity of Nigeria border and to defend the country against foreign invasion. So they ought not to have anything to do with whatever is going on in our internal in our internal affairs. But you see that the fact that the internal security structure that we have has already failed. In terms of, we have Nigerian police, we have DSS, we have a lot of security architectures that would have involved themselves in terms of restoring peace in those communities. So that's why you see whatever happened in every community, you quickly draft in the Nigerian military. And it's obvious that Nigerian military has also lost its respect. In those days, when military officers are moving into a particular community, you see that a lot of people will be jittery. In fact, even you mentioned OD, for example, during the Obasanjo era, anytime they claim that they declare a state of emergency or they are moving military in, you see that a lot of people will sit up. But now the respect is no longer there. And what happens also calls for a training and retraining. They need to retrain our security officers, even including the military, because you know these 16 military officers, they were actually going in to rescue their 3 colleagues that were held hostage. So they ought to have known that, okay, for 3 military officers to have been held hostage, they ought to have known that these individuals actually must have been in possession of a dangerous arms and ammunition. So they should have been on the lookout for any untoward or any unpleasant surprises. But unfortunately, that did not happen. And also, I said it should be a wake-up call, because since 2007, the country has spent over 6 trillion naira on amnesty program. So now, if we have spent all this money, yet till now, they will still have militants who are in possession of dangerous arms and ammunition that are even more powerful than that of the military, being held by the military officers. So it should our political officers, our elected leaders should sit up. They should have they should reflect on what they have been doing over time. So it's quite unfortunate, but I don't really see it ending in Delta, because what happened since last week, we see that a lot of them, as even in the northern part of the country, we hear something like this on a daily basis, and like I said, a lot of them are no longer making it to the headline. So our leaders continue as if the country is not in crisis. We continue as if there is no problem at all. As long as we continue to have leaders who don't even know the right approach to the problem that we have at hand, so definitely the problem will continue.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you like a double-edged or a triple-edged question, and I'd like you to put them together. If you go to I think it was 2 days ago, the guest that we had on the press stated that Nigerians should be allowed to carry arms, that so that they can protect themselves, licensed arms so that they can protect themselves. And almost all at least 80% of the callers agreed to that. I would ask you, do you agree to such, that we should allow people to begin to carry arms to protect themselves? Because we remember some state governors had made mention of things like that, and then it caused uproar at the time. That's one on the side. Then secondly, if you look at what the statement made by the Senate President with regards to how mercenaries are involved in this killings, because according to him, he said it cannot be the people in, it has to be people from outside that are responsible for this. So do you actually think that there could be any iota of truth around there? Then thirdly, that's a different story. Here says army blames low fence and absence of CCTV for Kuje prison break. So all of a sudden we have the reason why you had that Kuje prison break, that even up until now some of those people, inmates, have been found. So now they're saying that is because they have low fence or CCTV. Who should be blamed?
Well, the suggestion that a lot of people are pushing presently about the need for the citizens to have to be in control of arms and ammunition, that's not going to solve any problem. First, if you look at the countries where these laws are being implemented, like the United States of America, for example, you see that they have control over the production of arms and ammunition. But in the case of Nigeria, even the government cannot come out and say they even know the exact quantity of the arms and ammunition that we have in the country. So in a place where, in an environment where there are a lot of people who have that, or a lot of even wealthy individuals who even have their own small, or what you can refer to as a small army. So they have all that. So Nigeria market, Nigeria also is an unregulated environment whereby a lot of things goes without anybody checking it, without anybody questioning it. So in a situation like that, things that it's going to be difficult. Even in those countries where people have access to arms and ammunition, you see that a lot of crimes still take place. But it's quite easy to nip those crimes in the bud and to curtail the excesses of those criminals, because they have effective security system. But police officers. But in our own situation, we don't even have that. Now our policing system are already failed. Recently, the federal government came up with announced the introduction of state policing. So now we've not heard anything, because it's not just about the announcement. The right foundation has to be laid before the state policing can even be effective in a country like us. So we don't have that. Then we are supposed to have a Department of Security Service. Now that department has already failed woefully. Now we have another agency. Are you saying that the DSS have failed? If that department has not failed, how many of these individuals have they arrested over time? Now you just mentioned what's happening now, that the troops are being moved to Bayelsa. Now some of these individuals, they are known to people. But the problem is that because the trust between people at the community level and the government has already has broken down. So many people will rather keep me than to come out and point and fish and help the government to fish out the people who are actually responsible for all these things. So the department has already failed, because in virtually all the crises that we have witnessed, we've not seen a situation where we say, okay, that the Department of Security Service has been able to come out and say, okay, this is what they have been able to achieve. So that department has already failed. Then we also have another agency under the MSA office, the Department of Light, Arms and Ammunition. So that department is supposed to be in charge of what is the things that we are witnessing in the southern part of the country, where you have arms, a lot of light weapons littered everywhere, and the department is not doing anything. So now, if you are now going to legitimize the possession of arms and ammunition, so how are you going to regulate it? So that is the problem. Then that's the first problem. So we shouldn't start something that we may not be able to control along down the line. Then on the second issue with the Kuje prison, we all know what the havoc that corruption has wreaked in the country. What happened in Kuje ought not to have happened if the right thing had been done in the past. Between 2003 and 2007, billions of dollars was invested on the procurement of CCTV, even in the Federal Capital Territory. So at the end of the day, all the people who siphoned that money, so they were arraigned, but till date, nothing was heard about it. In fact, a lot of them had already died, and the family is still enjoying the money that they left behind. So it's a lot of problem. We have a lot of crisis in our hand in Nigeria. The third question.
Yes, that's with regards to what the Senate President talked about. Machinery is being involved in the killings.
Yes, definitely, they are always involved. Now look at it now. Some issue happened in Delta. Now they are running after those individuals. They have to move into Bayelsa. So it shows that some of these atrocities were not being perpetrated by the people who live in that state. So the people move from one state to the other to wreak havoc, to create a crisis. And we also have to point accusing fingers at our politicians as well, because some of these individuals, in the past, they are the people who enjoy the backing of our politicians, and many of them still enjoy the backing of the politicians. That's why you see during the election period, and we keep asking the question, the same government who is lamenting now, they are the same set of people, or their elected officials are the same set of people that by 2026 you see that these individuals are the ones that will be supporting them. They are the ones that will even be protecting them. Even our police officers will be there, and they will be relating with these people of questionable characters. So, and after the election, the arms and ammunition procured for them by the politicians will remain in their hand. We all know the history of how Boko Haram started in the northeastern part of the country. So that problem is always there. So if the government, our elected officials at every level, if they decide to do the right thing, realize that some of these crises are not going to be there.
All right, let's move to other stories. NLC and Labour Party locked in supremacy battle. And if you check the Matrix newspaper, says Labour Party and NLC crisis worsens. Ejero claims that NLC owns Labour Party, not backed by Electoral Act or the Constitution. That's coming from Labour Party. Accuses NLC of parading militant army, threatens lawsuit over libelous statement against Abure. But then NLC is coming out to say that it's because Abure has some 2027 ambitions. What are your thoughts with regards to this NLC, Nigeria Labour Congress, and then the Labour Party? Because most people, in fact, most Nigerians, a lot of people I ask, they just believe that Labour Party is owned by NLC, and there's this handshake between both of them. But the party is coming out to say that it is not them that own us. So what are your thoughts with regards to all of this, and how do you think that it will affect the presidential candidate they had in 2023, and maybe if he decides to come out for 2027?
Well, I think the court has already made a pronouncement on that NLC is a major stakeholder in Labour Party. We all know that the Labour Party was established by it was a brainchild of Nigeria Labour Congress. It was established by during the administration of Adams Oshiomhole. But at that time, we all know that immediately it was established. Even the president of the NLC, when he wanted to run for the office in 2007, he abandoned the party and ran under the platform of ACN, Action Congress of Nigeria at the time. So, and over time, NLC had abandoned or abdicated its responsibilities at the Labour Party. So the Labour Party had been left in the hands of politicians for a very long time. People like Nineko and a lot of other politicians, they've used the platform over time. So it's a good thing that Labour Party is now trying to come in to say, okay, we want to reclaim what we had already abandoned. But we know it's not really going to be easy, because you cannot compare when it was started, when they were in full control, to after 15 years, and they were a lot of stakeholders had already come in. So now what the court has said is that NLC is a stakeholder, but not that NLC is the sole owner of the party. So the crisis like this is definitely going to continue, because the people who are leading the party, you see that even if you look at the manifesto of the party, which was actually written by the NLC, that manifesto had even been abandoned by those who had been leading that party over time. And even the candidates none of the candidates who has contested under that banner has come out to say, we are going to defend this this manifesto. So as a result of a lot of stakeholders are now involved. So NLC is just one out of numerous stakeholders. So it's not really going to be easy for NLC at this time to come out and say, okay, we want to reclaim the Labour Party. And aside from that, you know, the credibility of Labour parties, of NLC, is not being questioned. NLC is no longer as formidable as it was years ago. Now, people don't even look at what is going on now. Virtually every 2 weeks, NLC will come out and will give out ultimatum. Now the ultimatum will expire, people will not even, and nothing will happen. So that credibility is no longer there. So the problem will continue, and if care is not taken, definitely it's going to affect the chance of the party in 2026. And you ask about what is likely to be the fate of the presidential candidate in 2023. But you should know that the presidential candidate of 2023 is not really a core Labour Party man. He himself will never believe in the manifesto of the party, because when he was contesting, he ran under his own, on his own with his own ideas. So, and these individuals, they came from somewhere. He was in Abga. He will later move to PDP, then later Labour Party. So these politicians will see this platform as just an avenue for them to contest. So I don't think it's going to affect his chances, because presently one could have been afraid if, for example, if NLC is doing well, if they are building the structure at the local level, if they are at the local level, but NLC is not doing that. The only agitation is that now they want to take over the structure of the party at the national level. But we all know that every politics is local. Now there is nothing presently on ground to show that the Labour Party even has what it takes to challenge APC in 2026, because the same problem that were there before Obi came, the same problem is still there. No structure at the grassroots. Okay. So by 2026, if it continues, definitely the same politicians who came there like Obi, they will look for another platform, because it is the individual that people are supporting. It's not actually the political party. So
taking a cue from where you just landed, now is it now a very good time to start talking or hampering on independent candidacy?
Yes, it is the right time to start talking about that, because if you look at the country like the United States, they created room for independent candidacy, but in Nigeria we don't have that. As far as Nigeria is concerned, as far as our constitution is concerned, you must have a platform where you are going to run. So, but yeah, I think if our government sits there, especially our politicians at the National Assembly, if they look at that constitution again, look at the electoral law again, and say, okay, now independent candidates should start coming. You realize that some of these individuals will start coming now, will start running independently without the encumbrance of any political structure. People like Obi, for example, like I said, it is that personal credibility that people are supporting. It's not about the platform where they come from. Now, in the past, we have seen a lot of that. In 2006, for example, when Mimiko decided to run to contest under the Labour Party under the banner in Ondo State, it declared for the position in the space of 3 months, and before people supported him. It means that at that time, if he had not contested under the Labour Party, then he would have also won, assuming he was an independent candidate. And we saw a lot of examples during the last general election. So I think that if we have this independent candidacy arrangement, definitely a lot of people will come out.
All right, let's go to other matters. And the Guardian newspaper says federal government spends 6 trillion naira subsidy on unavailable electricity in 10 years. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, it's not surprising because, you know, when Obasanjo government came out in 2022 to announce that some of these institutions were going to be privatized, you realize that privatization process was shrouded in secrecy, and a lot of people, it's quite easy today to even debate on the subsidy on our petroleum sectors than to talk about the subsidies on electricity, because right from the very beginning, everything, all the agreement, all the processes was shrouded in secrecy. You know, when they were selling those plants, when they were selling those power generating plants, when they were selling them, all the agreement was that these individuals will come in and they make sure that at least that the electricity gets to every house in Nigeria. Yes, there was some agreement that government will continue to subsidize till people will be able to, at least there will be light there will be electricity everywhere. Then the government, I mean the people managing those plants, they too will not be discouraged. But over time, what we keep hearing is that now they're even saying now that if care is not taken before the end of this year, the government will be paying 2 trillion naira on the subsidy, on the power, on the electricity that is not even there in the first place. So the problem will definitely continue until we should know that this is not the mistake, and this problem was not caused by this present administration. It is the mistakes of the past that this administration is now that is being resolved by this administration. But it should also serve as a lesson for this administration, so that subsequently we will not continue with this electricity crisis. But I don't think there is an easy way out of it, because there is nobody you ask these questions to, that they will say that, oh, this is where the problem is, or this is where the solution is, because nobody even know where this money is going into. Nobody know where the money is coming from. Nobody knows the individuals that are being paid. Just as it's happening with our petroleum, with our oil sector. So the same thing is also applicable to our electricity. So, and we don't know so there's no easy way out of it.
All right. Nigerian Tribune says CJN to receive 5.39 million naira. Supreme Court justices to get 4.21 million naira monthly. Other judges get review as National Assembly approves their salary increment. So that's one on the side. What are your thoughts in that regard? And then the next one is for National Assembly passes student loan bill, and I saw a particular headline. I was trying to look for it where it was talking about in fact I even heard the Senate President say that if your child or your ward is found outside during school hours, you'll be arrested. So I'm thinking, how do you actually do that, or how do you justify the fact that if Lagbaja can pay for his child to go to school and I cannot even spend one dime for mine to go to school, why should I get arrested? How do you actually do these things?
Well, let's talk with the let's address the student loan. It's a very good initiative, but at the same time, we all know that it's easier to pass a bill than to implement such a bill. First, if you want to build a house, you are not just going to say, oh, because I have this money, I just want to build. You need to first sit down. You plan your, the drawing. Then aside that, you now think of the amount of money that you are now going to spend on the foundation, then until everything will end. So, but in Nigeria, we are passing bills on what we don't even know the exact, people that we don't even know their exact, they know their exact numbers, or the problem that we don't even have it clear. We don't even, we don't understand. Now, this student loan, if you are passing the student loan, the question is that our government, do they even have the exact picture of what the problem is? Do we even know the exact number of students that we have? Recently, it became clear that even the government never have a clear record of even the people who have passed through the NYSC system since it was established in 1973 till date. So, and in a country now where we have over 300 universities, including federal universities, private universities, state universities, and all that, and monotechnics and polytechnics and colleges of education. So how are you going to plan for the people that you don't even know their numbers? Now, aside from that, you know that this bill that is being passed now is just for the the bill is even ambiguous, because you have students in the federal universities, you have students in the federal polytechnics, you have students in the state universities and state polytechnics. Colleges of education are still there, school of nursing, and there are a lot of monotechnics around. So is this going to is this going to affect or be enjoyed by the students who are also in a state polytechnic in Kebbi? So these are the questions that we need to ask, and even those who are even within the federal university system. So do we even know the exact number of people? Do we know the number of people that have been admitted every year? Do we know the number of people that are graduating every year? So it is only when you have this number. That's if you place our bill side by side with the bills being passed by other countries like Britain, like US, for example, you realize that there is radical difference, because before they pass that bill in those countries, they will have the complete details of what they are actually planning for. But we don't have that. Even our National Bureau of Statistics, they do not even have the data. Many of them will never leave their office. Some of these statistics being rolled out on a daily basis, they don't have the exact picture of what we are dealing with. So with that, so I'm not really enthusiastic. Like I said, it would have been a very good initiative, a very good policy, but we have a lot of good policy in Nigeria. Remember, the student loan is not even new. The idea is not new, so we should have studied why why the same policy failed in the past. That was even at the time when we only had 6 federal universities, we only had 6 universities, no private universities at the time, no state universities, and yet the system failed. So what is now the guarantee that it is now that we have all these problems and that the policy is going to succeed? And when you say the students should start paying after they should start paying back after 2 years. The question is that what job is the student going to get within 2 years that will make them to start paying that will enable them to pay back the money? Then if you now say, okay, until they're able to get to secure a job. I have known people who graduated as far back as 8 years ago. Now they are still, many of them are still looking for a job. A lot of them are teaching in private nursery and primary school where they pay them 15,000 or 20,000 naira, at most 30,000 naira. So how are they going to pay back? So these are the issues. If you are making arrangements, if you are providing facility for a loan, they should also provide another facility for such students to get job, to secure job immediately after the graduation. All right, let's quickly take this call before we go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I think I'm just watching something on one of your tellies. Is it? This is Wale Balogun from Oshobo.
All right, Wale Balogun from Oshobo. Go ahead.
I like the submission of the presenter or the one you are interviewing. I just tuned to that station. But one thing I want him to understand is that we need to start from somewhere. If you think we become America or Britain before we do anything good, it may not come until Jesus comes. But one thing is that we have to start from somewhere, and by the time we begin to run it, if there is any error, we will be able to correct it. Let's begin somewhere. We cannot wait in eternity till we begin to do something good. It is a good venture. Actually, I don't know much about the bill, but by the time the bill pass through, we will be able to study it better.
Right.
And then if there's going to be any error, everybody will be able to understand. Let's start from somewhere.
All right. Thank you so much, Wale Balogun, for calling us, and please stay tuned to KAFTAN Television. All right, so let's go straight to other stories. I think there's a particular one that you've not even addressed. Okay, what was said by the Senate President with regards to if your child or your ward is found outside during school hours, then you will be arrested. What do you think about
Well, like I said, there are a lot of these policies that cannot be implemented. We're in this country when the state government came out with a lot of state governments in the southwest, even in the southeast, came out with a policy that any cattle rearers or others seen on the road, that they will be arrested. But now no single person has been arrested. So that facility, like I said, I agree with our caller that we need to start somewhere. But what we are saying is that some of this policy, they are not new. And that's why people like us who have studied these policies, we keep shouting that, look, we need to do things differently. If, for example, if government is coming up with a policy that we've never seen before, we can say, okay, let's try it and let's see how far we will go. Right. But in the case of all these, in all these policies being introduced, so they are not new. Like I said, this policy, this student loan, has already been introduced more than 6 times in the past, and on each occasion they failed. So, but if you look at this paper now, this paper policy that was presented and that was eventually approved, it was not radically different from what has been approved or passed in the past. So what we are witnessing is more or less like a recycling of policy. So it's not actually new. So what we are now saying is that if we want to recycle those policies, let's recycle them by studying the reason why they failed in the past. So that by the time we are introducing them now, we know that, okay, we want to start and hit the ground running. Not that we remain stuck with the problems, with what led to the problems in the past. So that is our own. So this issue of you are going to arrest people, so it's actually not going to work, because we have Ministry of National Orientation Agency, for example. I would have expected that bill made it clear that, okay, that department should go to the grassroots and sensitize people. You need to be able to sensitize a lot of people. There are many of our people, especially in the northern part of the country, for example, many of them do not see the reason why they just have to sacrifice and maybe send the child to school when they've not even eaten anything on that day. So they would rather put something in their tummy than for them to say, okay, let me send a child to school. So we need to orientate them. We need to sensitize them. We need to let them know that, look, it's not just for you, for your present, it's also for your future. It's also good for the future of the country as well. So that sensitization is required. We have Ministry of Information, a lot of agencies that we have that are supposed to go to the grassroots to actually sensitize people. So you can't force people, because do we even have that security structure that can actually implement what they are saying? How many police officers do we have in the country today that will now have to be going to every community to arrest people on the road? So it's not actually going to work. All right.
So in fact, because you talk about security, I also thought of the fact that even when you have this insecurity, you have how many children have been taken away from Kaduna, and up till now, in fact, it looks as if we have shifted away from that story and we're moving to other story, moved maybe to their Okwama story. So you have some parents who will tell you that with what is happening, let my child just first of all stay at home. So now when you bring policies like this, at least first handle insecurity first before I can allow my child to go out to school. All right, our time is fast spent. Quite a number of things that we needed to talk about. You have the Naira rebound to 1,400 Naira. Speculators offload FX. That's still there. So I'd like you to just touch on it, and then because we keep hearing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu say, let's keep taking these baby steps of pain, that it will definitely pay off. So does it look as if from almost 2,000. At some point, we almost got to 2,000 naira to the dollar, and now then it got to 1,600 and stayed for a while. But now we're looking at 1,400, and then they said in the next few weeks we should be looking at 1,200. So does it look as though that baby steps of pain is finally paying off? That's one undecided. Secondly, the wife of the president came out to say that Nigerians should go into farming. Be you a businessman, a civil servant, you need to go straight to farming so we can curb this, we can at least boost food sustenance. What do you think about that?
Well, I think we need to appreciate the government, because we can, if we criticize them for what they fail to do right, we need to appreciate them for what they we need to commend them in the area where we think they're actually working, especially in the area of this naira rebounds. I think they are doing well, because the fact that the naira is now the dollar is crashing against the naira, and the naira keeps rising every day, so it shows that actually they are doing something right. And now also now I think the criticism, that's why that's the beauty of democracy, because under the military government now we have no I don't see what right or whatever to sit down like this and criticize the government. But now as we speak now, I'm sure there will be lots of television houses, radio stations where a lot of similar programs like this will be taking place. So that's the beauty of democracy, and it shows that okay, we have a listening elected official, especially the president, because all throughout this period, remember that they arrested somebody who criticized the president, and it shows that some of this criticism is getting to them. So the government, the president himself has started taking a series of decisions or pronouncements or policy implementation that shows that they actually want things to change, turn for the better. For example, aside from he has even banned his ministers and other government officials from traveling, because we all know the amount of dollars that they usually take out every time they travel. So it shows that the government wants something better. So we need to appreciate them, but we also appeal that they shouldn't relent, because remember where dollar was, where naira was against naira was against dollar when the new administration came in. So they should try as much as possible to take it back at least to that level. So that's why we can ask, okay, at least the government is working. But so far it shows that things are moving in the right direction. Then as for the farming, yes, definitely it's a good advice, but at the same time government needs to play a lot of role, because we know that one of the reasons why people are discouraged from going back to farm is that you need a lot of facilities to make it work. For example, loan. For example, we all know the prevailing poverty in the country. If you want to start anything today, you need capital. So and it's not just about advice. I would have also loved a situation where our first lady will prevail on the president to enable all the loan organizations like a bank of industry, for example. We used to have a mortgage bank, and also those banks, so we need to revive them so that they will be able to encourage all these young people, and both men and women, to go back into farming. And for those who do not have access to land, government should try, especially at the state level, to make the land available to them. So a lot of things have to be done so that for our people to go back to farm. But the good thing is that Nigerians are not lazy. We actually want to work, want to do things, good things for ourselves.
Most definitely. Stephen Adewale, before I let you go, there's this one question that's been on my mind, but I said our time is fast spent. But if you can help us in 1 minute, with regards to the Olubadan, what are your thoughts, and who do you think that would be the next? And I've heard some people say that the Ladoja story, a lot of things have been happening around that. So what are your thoughts with regards to the Olubadan? Well,
the good one beautiful thing about Ibadan system is that you don't even need to do a lot of research before you know the next Olubadan. It's clearly stated already. You know that if the Olubadan goes there, you have Balogun, you have Otun and all that. So it's not the turn of Ladoja yet. Ladoja, once the new man, imagine now, once the new man is installed, so Ladoja is the next person to the new Olubadan. So, but it's not yet the turn of Ladoja, and Ladoja himself is aware. So, virtually all the leaders in Ibadan, they are aware.
Okay, so that's actually settles it, especially for all those who had some misconceptions. Thank you, Stephen Adewale, Public Affairs Analyst. Always a pleasure having this talk with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, time is fast spent, but we'll take one or two social media videos, and there's this one about a Nigerian athlete that in my mind I'm like, if no matter what, just keep going and definitely you hit the mark. Let's take that one and we'll come to end the program.
Nigerian athlete chased down her opponent in the mixed 4x400 meters relay to win GOLD4.
Well, on that first video, it just means that keep moving, regardless of what it looks like. You'll definitely get to the top. Consistency is what pays. And then the next video of the Sokoto state governor who was eating with almajiris. It means that no matter what, we all came to this world with nothing and will definitely leave with nothing. You are, just because you are rich or because you're a governor or because you are a politician doesn't make you better than the almajiri outside. We are all one, so we should eat together, give when you can give, and the world will be a better place for all of us. My name is Annabel Orji. I will see you on Saturday morning on The Conversation, but then still keep watching KAFTAN television. Bye for now.